Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Screen Society podcast, a podcast where you can get all things TV news and everything as far as movies is concerned, too. That was a really bad intro. I'm your host, Logan. Sometimes this happens, and I've got somebody here to help me along because words are hard, and that is Jordan Wiegand, back for another episode. Jordan, how you doing?
Good. I'm scrubbing in.
Scrub it? Yeah, I like that. It's funny that you say that because at work, everybody except for administration, I work at a hospital. Everybody at administration wears scrubs. So, like, if you work anywhere in the hospital, you can wear scrubs. And I still think it's one of the biggest ripoffs of my workplace is that I don't get to wear fancy admin scrubs. I don't know what color they would be, but I wish we could wear them.
I'd go JD style. I like the blue.
Did you go blue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the blue. There is a group of people that wear red. They are Polk State, so they're nursing like students.
Okay.
They wear red. The red looks snazzy, like they look good because they're like red with black pants. It's like those look pretty cool.
Do any of them wear pink on Wednesdays, or is that
no? Because
no. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about this show, and I think maybe public hospitals are a little different than private, but our hospital, like the scrubs determine where you work, and you're not really supposed to wear anything underneath. The scrubs are always supposed to look the same, like but I think with TV,
like the JD long sleeve underneath.
Yeah, I think with TV though, they do it to differentiate people, but I'm also like, you don't need they look so different. I don't need Tosh to look different than Blake.
We kind of get it here though, because like the surgical people are usually wearing the green, and the medicine people usually wearing the blue.
Yeah. There's a point where Tosh is wearing like a corduroy looking color of scrubs. It's like a almost denim looking, which is really interesting. But again, I think they just go with the colors kind of match. And I've noticed this with the pit too. The pit, they put jackets on, which is very common. Like people always wear jackets in hospitals because it's cold. But I just got thinking about it. I was like, what color scrubs would I want to wear if I was wearing them all day? But Jordan, we're back for another episode of the revival of Scrubs. It was My Poker Face, which had me singing the Lady Gaga song.
I was going to say, you know whose favorite episode this was? This was Lady Gaga's favorite episode.
Yeah.
Now, you know what's funny? I did this terrible joke. We were in the car and TLC came on and they were singing No Scrubs. Yes. I told Joy, I was like, you know what their least favorite show on TV? She said Scrubs. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. No, funnily enough.
And she was like, wait, are you making that as a joke? I was like, yeah. I was like, how would I know their least favorite TV show?
Yeah, that's actually what the song is about. They do not like Scrubs. Yeah. The deeper meaning is there. But Jordan, this aired on Wednesday, right? Wednesday, March 11th. Yeah. 2026.
12th on Hulu? Yeah.
Yes. And the synopsis: JD organizes a poker night with Turk to recapture old times. Medical and surgical interns compete, and Elliot deals with a patient obsessed with social media. Jordan, a lot of social media talk in this episode that we'll get into. But before we do that, director Randall Keenan Winston, writers Michael Hobart, Christopher Edens, and Brianna Porter. And on IMDb, Jordan, it's sitting at a 7.7. So, and I've seen a lot of written things about this. It's just a really solid Scrubs episode, but the more I've watched it, the more I really enjoyed this one. But I want to get your thoughts before we get into the dive. What were your thoughts on the episode?
Well, one thing I want to say, the guy who is the director, Randall Winston, they had him on the podcast back when they were covering season one. I was listening to this, but he was also he did Spin City as well as a associate producer, and he was on Scrubs for a while. And he also, I've been seeing his name a lot lately because I finished Cougarton, as I say, Cougartown. Yeah. And he's a producer, and he directed and produced episodes of Shrinking, which I'm watching right now. So I just finished season 1 last night.
Oh, yeah. What are your thoughts? You like it?
Yeah. No, I really dig it. I think it's the closest of the Bill Lawrence shows to Scrubs. Not just because of the medical stuff. I feel like the
humor and
humor and then the heartfelt stuff.
Yeah.
He also played Leonard the security guard in Scrubs.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot about that. That's so cool. I forgot that's who that was.
So we have another established name of people that worked on the original show and are part of that Bill Lawrence team back directing. And I think Michael Hobart is his brother. Tim Hobart was one of the show's producers and was one of the showrunners of this reboot or revival.
Okay.
And he left due to creative differences.
Interesting.
After the pilot. So I'm kind of wondering what kind of creative differences there can be for like a person that worked on the original show to come back and be like, I'm out. And then his brother is still writing episodes. So I'm really wondering how that is. But he also he played Lonnie in Scrubs, Michael Hope.
Oh, okay. Yep. I wonder, I mean, a lot of times those end up being because the new changing of the guard typically. So with Zach, Sarah, and Donald taking over pretty much running the show, I do wonder that a lot of times there's a little bit of tension there because the changing of the guard. This happened with Boy Meets World, actually. I remember listening to their podcast, and they said that there was when there was changing of the guards, the writers oftentimes left because they felt like they weren't given as much of a voice as they were with the previous directors or the previous producers. So they just back out like, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm not getting the voice that I used to have.
You know, the other showrunner is Asim Batra, who did the who did the first episode with Tim Hobart.
Yeah.
And she's the showrunner now after he left. And I'm wondering if, you know, they were both like colleagues, I guess, on the original. And I wonder if maybe like just, you know, you think it's going to work well together and then maybe something wasn't working for him. And also creative differences cover so much stuff that they just, I think that's a nice way to always say that somebody left. So it could just be that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so his brother, Michael, wrote this episode. I liked the episode. I thought it was good. I mean, I've seen a wide range, Logan, of people saying this was the best of the new season to seeing people say it was the worst. I'd probably fall in the middle, I guess. I don't know. They've all just been really good at hitting the points. This is the one I felt like I think went the fastest in like a...
Me too. Pacing.
In maybe a negative way of the pacing, where I really wish we could have gotten one of those supersized episodes for this, because like there was one part that was very jarring to me is JD and Turk are sitting at the table near the end of the episode, and then right after Turk's done talking,
it cuts.
It cuts to Tosh walking up to Elliot, but like she already talked while we were seeing JD and Turk.
Yeah.
It was like this really weird transition.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, we're done with that scene. But then they go back to that scene after Tosh is done talking to Elliot. So that was like the part where I was really kind of felt like it was a little whiplashy. But I think the jokes are there. I think the vibe is there. And I think that the heartfelt stuff, and they tell us patient, you know, at the end, not the TikTok patient, but the new dad patient, that he is actually, it's more serious than what they had thought. I wish we maybe would have got a little bit more time with that too, but it still hits.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it is like they are breaking fourth wall at moments in this show where they are alluding to their previous, the original Scrubs. I think that they do break the wall down a little bit, where it's, you know, kind of giving you a glimpse behind the curtains, and they do so well with that in this. And right away, Jordan, we'll get into it. It feels just like JD and Elliot when they used to break up in the original, and that's what I love so much about this show. And I was thinking about this today, Jordan. I know you and I have talked at length about this in the last one, but it just works so well that they are divorced. I mean, I really do like, now that I've gotten comfortable with it, I really do like that they're divorced, because it adds in so many layers of humor with JD and Elliot, but also some very serious moments where they can still have these moments. And there's a great scene with them sitting at a table when they're talking about Tosh later on in the episode. But Jordan, it starts out with them.
They're in their Sorry, they're in their divorced honeymoon.
Yes, yes, that's exactly. Yes, I was gonna say we launch into their divorce honeymoon, which is funny because you usually have that relationship honeymoon where you just want to spend time with each other 24/7. Jordan has reminded the audience
we
that
talked about that last week.
Yeah, about me being in mine. But yes, Jordan, they start out and they're talking about ham and pineapple on pizza. Jordan, what are your thoughts on the Hawaiian pizza? No, same. I hate it. I don't like it at all.
I am a cheese or pepperoni type of guy. I can't go with a lot of this other stuff. Mostly because a lot of times I don't like the other stuff. I do like pineapple. I do like ham.
Same.
I do not like it on my pizza.
Yes, I think too. It's oftentimes the pineapple is weirdly warm. I like cold pineapple.
Yeah,
I think the pineapple is either weirdly warm or if it's cold, it's disturbing because it's on warm pizza. It's like, what is going on?
That's like anytime people are mixing stuff like that, I actually can't do the sweet and salty stuff. Like my wife will ask for a bowl of pretzels.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll and throw some M&Ms on top of that. And I'm like, this is so gross. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Jordan's going through knocking them all up. No,
because I have different, I have cravings of I need something sweet,
salty,
or I need something salty. I don't want it mixing and throwing my taste buds into whack, man. Yeah. And that's what I feel like this pizza would do. Like you said, even ham is usually cold if it's lunch meat ham, or if it's cooked ham, then you want it warm. But I love ham. That's what I eat at Christmas, and that's what I eat at Thanksgiving. I'm not a big turkey guy, so I love the ham, just not on pizza. Why are we ruining such a great dish,
staple?
You know? Yeah.
I agree with you. We get some really good jokes in this first opening. Rave at midnight. Tosh invites JD to a rave at midnight.
Midnight at night.
That's so relatable to 30-year-olds plus.
That's what I was gonna say. It's so relatable now. I mean, that's how I've always been.
Yeah.
Granted, I've never been a guy that's let me go out late at night. But I used to be able to stay up at night a little bit more back in my day. And now, I think I mentioned it last week when we were talking about maybe the honeymoon phase and stuff. But I used to sometimes be out at my wife's house until 2 a.m. I'd get off at 10 and I'd be over there till 1:30, and then I have to drive 30 minutes home. And I honestly can't imagine that right now. And so very relatable that JD, I think I would have probably thrown some shade at him or the writers, if he had actually went out and did this rave. Yeah. But when he hears I'm picking you up at midnight, it's no, never mind. I'm out. He's 50 years old.
Yeah. It is very fitting, even for 30-year-olds, Jordan. I if you get me up and I'm out at past 10 o'clock, that is way too. I will never recover, at least for that day. So,
well, yesterday we were out doing stuff, and we had to drive 30 minutes out to do stuff, and I mean, I'm sitting there looking at man, we're not going to get home till 6:30. That's pretty late. It doesn't help that we have a kid, so his bedtime is 8 o'clock. So you want to get home to start their routine, which takes an hour and a half. So so now 6, I'm damn, we gotta get back. We gotta get back home.
Yep, 100 agree. JD and Elliot are really great in this episode together. Again, like I said, I really love that they are figuring things out, and they are crushing. What do they say? They're killing divorce. So that's great. Turk is sick of women in his life. That's what he says. Because Jordan, he's getting blasted by all 4 daughters, wanting money, going out somewhere.
And he's chief of surgery, so he's probably making some good money.
Oh, great money. At least $200K plus.
At least $200K. Plus Carla is still working as a charge nurse, right?
Yes.
So she's been in that role for years, so she's probably making some good money.
Oh, at least 120 plus.
So so it's both of them making good money, but he is the king of the castle in that regard. And having 4 daughters plus your wife. Now, of course, Carla is contributing to the household, but the kids are not, we assume.
Yeah.
So kind of constantly asking for food and money to go out and do stuff or shopping, especially they're teenage girls, right? I mean, we've seen them. They're
yeah.
like,
right in the range of dangerous.
yeah. Like the oldest
Yeah.
one is maybe 20,
Yeah.
depending on because the show started 20.
was
Well, the show
gonna say,
started
she'd be
25 years ago, so she was born probably she's probably like 20.
20. Yeah, 21, 20.
So college tuition, right? Like I mean, all of this stuff that
Yeah.
Turk is probably paying for
They're
in
not working.
California, right? Because this is where the show's based.
Yep.
Yeah, he's pulled in so many directions, and like he said, he's also on call. So if there's a big, I guess surgery that he needs to go and complete, he's also getting his very needy best friend back in his everyday life of JD. So
Yes.
yeah, he's pretty torn in a lot of directions.
Yes. Turk talks about how it's hard to keep the romance alive. He said Carla used to get off the Bridgerton, but that won't be out for another year, which is a great joke. And JD goes, "No, it's actually spring 2027," alluding to the fact that
this is actually my little gripe here.
Oh, you didn't like this, did you?
I just finished watching Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Okay. The seasons usually take 2 years. The season just really, it's more like spring 2028 at this point.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yes.
It rang a little false for me, but
yeah.
my wife overheard this part and she enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was good. Jordan, then it turns into our first flash or our first daydream. And it's he wanted of course JD wanted a feelings dojo, but then Turk's like, no, we want a brojo. Jordan, it has this daydream of them jumping on trampoline in the living room. JD's in his new place, which he had mentioned early on in the episode, and they've got 4 screens playing sports, the trampoline, and JD goes, "You know what's even better? I got a new roommate," and it pans over and it's Chewie from Star Wars. He's like, Turk goes, "Chewie." So I guess Jordan, Donald Faison is a huge Star Wars nerd. Like they said,
he
is
voices a
massive
character
nerd
in Star Wars.
Yeah,
he's in Star Wars Resistance.
Okay,
the cartoon.
Yep.
And his character is actually named Hype Faison.
Oh, really?
Spelled
That's
differently.
Fun.
Spelled differently.
That's
but
fun.
So yeah, and he on the podcast, he had talked about like, he's had conversations with Dave Filoni. He's actually a really hardcore nerd. He like really knew everything they've done over there.
Yeah. Are you still there?
I'm frozen. Yeah.
Okay. Now you're back. Okay.
Now I'm back.
Were you done? I didn't know. Like that'll catch. I didn't know.
What I was just saying was that he's just a really big nerd. He was dropping stuff that like I know, of course, by when I was listening, and he's talking about like he knew like Dave Filoni's name and like what he does and like who was in charge of what stuff. Like he knew everything that was going on in Lucasfilm.
Okay, that's awesome though, because like there's a lot of Star Wars allusions in this episode or these first 4 episodes so far, and then I had heard an interview that he was a big Star Wars guy. But Jordan, Chewie popcorns them right up into the pretty girl upstairs that JD had been talking about. Popcorns them right up into the ceiling, which is a great moment. He's like, "Hey, what you watching?" And their heads are sticking through it, and I was like, that was so very Scrubs. And then it cuts to our intro, and we're right into the thick of things, because JD is talking about how this is what I really liked about it. He acknowledges the fact that Sacred Heart looks the same, but it feels different. And I think that is an acknowledgement to the audience that, yes, this show probably feels a little different for people, but it's still the same place. And I still feel like, I mean, I don't really notice much of a difference except the camera quality's gotten better and there's different characters not there, but it feels like the same Sacred Heart that we've stepped back into and how realistic it looks compared to what the old building used to look like. But Jordan, it's changed. They've got robots doing different tasks. Then we get the janitor, who was in last episode writing on the floor cleaner. Jordan, this is one of my favorite TikTokers. His name is Darcy Michael. Really? And he is he and his husband, Jeremy, are one of the more famous Canadian TikTokers. They are a great comedic duo. They're hilarious. I highly recommend anybody that's not on the Darcy Michael the train there to go listen to some of his TikTok stuff. He's currently touring with his husband Jeremy. His husband Jeremy actually has, I want to say, colon cancer or some kind of
Oh
cancer,
wow.
but is fighting through it and doing pretty well. But Jordan, he's one of my favorite. And I looked at because I was like, wait a minute, that looks like Darcy. So I Googled it, and sure enough, Jordan, there's two big time TikTokers in this episode. We'll get to the next one because I don't
Matt Rife.
necessarily, I don't necessarily like that one. But yeah, janitor Jordan, he starts talking about the janitor. He goes, yeah, you know what else is different? The janitor's nice to me. And then he walks away from the janitor and he goes, maybe I should learn his name, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, I like that touch too, because obviously we know of the famous the janitor,
yes,
Dr. Janitor, right? That that worked there. That he never knew his name,
right?
Mainly because the janitor never really told it.
Yeah,
they didn't really ever tell anybody his real name, from what we gather. But so it almost feels like, yes, he should learn this guy's name, because it's almost like an ominous thing for me of like, what if he like doesn't know this guy's name and it spins him out to become the next the next janitor?
That's what I was thinking too. Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know if Darcy. I mean, I'm assuming it's 9 episodes. Maybe he is in all of these or a lot of these, but he would be a perfect janitor to be kind of like a jerk to
you said
JD.
He's Canadian. They did film the show in Vancouver, so I mean, this is probably like a nearby gig where he's able to work there and make himself a bigger name. Apparently he was in some other Canadian sitcoms. I was just looking it up. So,
oh yeah, he's phenomenal. If you haven't listened to his stuff, he's so good at what he does. And I followed him way back early in his time on TikTok, and I've loved his content ever since.
So you're saying you discovered him?
Yeah, I basically casted him in this role. Jordan, the JD walks by and he goes, you know what's different too? Interns are not being pushed into, which was a really interesting comment, not being pushed into burnout, but instead pushed into therapy. And it goes into Sibby's office where the interns are being told about meditation and block building. And Asher goes, wait, you're telling me she wants us to build blocks? And Blake's like, yeah, pretty much, dude. Like, that's what she wants. But again, I thought a nice touch. But burnout's a real thing. I mean, we've seen that with Turk now, and now we hear it here once again with the medical interns.
Yeah, Sibby has made like this. I would say it's very new age in the sense of, this is why Cox couldn't teach these kids, right? Cox would not want them just sitting in here building stuff or banging the gong, right, for meditation and all that, because of, he really rode them hard. And we got to see that life of what it was for a doctor back in the early, 2000s with the original show, and how, we even see the episode where Ben dies, right? We have Cox take over all of JD's patients for like 70 some hours, or like, like 36 hours, 72 hours, something like that. And like, you can tell he's at like his end, right? But like, so seeing the contrast of that, of how, I guess in the medical community, I don't know enough about this, right? That they maybe realized that this was happening at such a high clip that they had to kind of introduce some new methods to kind of de-stress. So that way, maybe, we've seen the mandatory nap times that they've talked about in a couple episodes, right? And then if you have these type of things where you're building, and we see Elliot do this too, you're taking your mind off of the main issue and you're putting it into something else productive, but you're doing it in like I'm sure when you're putting together the Legos that you just did recently, it was probably very soothing.
It was very therapeutic,
relaxing. And you're still like using probably things that you would use as a doctor, especially like the surgical interns, where you're using your brain of putting pieces into certain areas and doing that kind of stuff, but a little less stakes with the Legos than with real people's lives. So this is probably just all new stuff that has continually happened. We even had something like this in my work where we work a desk job, but there was a time where it was a little stressful, and because we're in the health industry too, but it's desk stuff. But like, they had a little area for that they would supply like little Legos to or puzzles.
Okay, yeah. So just
And
kind of
like,
a
if you needed to take like a
decompress.
15-minute break and just go
Yeah,
do that stuff, like you could. So it's kind of a thing that's catching on, I think, in a lot of industries.
yeah. No, I know Google has been a big proponent of this. Disney, they've given days of like, hey, take these off as mental health days. A lot of the big corporations are leaning more into these. They're starting to reel them back a little bit now because there's always constant angst between what's going on with them and the generations that follow. But then we get Jordan talking about poker because that's how the boys are going to hang out. That's the big conversation. That's why the title is My Poker Face. They're going to have a poker night because back in the day, that's what they used to do. JD loved them. Turk loved them back in college. They used to host them. It sounds like Turk used to win all the time, just based off of the flashback that we get, which was really good. And we got a lot of flashbacks and like daydreams here from JD and Turk. So I really enjoyed that. But Jordan, Hooch overhears that they are playing poker, and he slides over from behind the nurse's station. He goes, "Did somebody say poker?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they're kind of like trying to get around the fact they don't want to invite. And he goes, "Turk, Hooch, we're not really inviting you."
It says you don't have a seat. Yeah, I don't have a seat for you.
Yeah, and he goes, "I'll bring the bean dip." And then basically like inviting himself, and then he taps the desk, and then he gets up, and JD goes, "Man, Hooch really is crazy." So we got another Hooch is crazy, which again, the more Hooch is in it, the better. I really enjoy that. But they overhear the interns fighting, and this is a running. This is probably what the A storyline here is when they are fighting over dumping patients on one another. And JD and Turk are sitting there, and Turk goes, "Look, our kids are having their first fight." And Turk's like, "Should we use our parental voices?" And JD goes, "I will turn this hospital around." And Turk is like, "He will, he will." And Deshauna kicks Blake as they're walking over because they summon them. And Turk goes, "I saw that, Deshauna," just like little kids. But there's going to be a big discussion later on. But then it goes to the next scene with Jordan Matt Rife from TikTok, a huge comedian right now on TikTok, got his fame from interacting with his audience.
Crowd.
And
Yeah.
yes, Jordan, he is a very his tour is called Problematic. He is a very problematic figure amongst people. He's a very good looking, attractive man who is very well built. I think that they said about 80% of his audience is female. And he has made some this is why I know a lot of reviews on IMDb torched this episode because he was in it. I saw multiple that were 1 star that said 1 star because of Matt Rife. Jordan, I think this was about 2 years ago. Matt Rife and he's always had some very problematic jokes. But he one time said, "I feel like if she could cook, she wouldn't have that black eye," when talking about uh, a joke about domestic violence. So, I mean, he was on the verge of like, this was on his Netflix special. He was on the verge of being canceled. I do think he still says a lot of problematic things. I just actually saw one of his clips where he was making fun of a handicapped kid. Um, I personally do not like Matt Rife. So I know that was probably a big issue for many. But Jordan, what do you think about my question is, what do you think about all these TikTok stars, influencers instead of like the big guest stars that Scrubs used to do? What do you think about them now, tapping on those channels of new influencers?
Yeah, I don't know if I really have like I saw some people upset about it, and to be honest, I just don't care. I guess is
Mhm.
like I've seen some of his clips that I thought were good, some of them that were not. Right, like
Yeah,
it's just when you try to be edgy, sometimes it doesn't
you cross the
pan
line.
out.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but there like one of my favorite comedians is very controversial in that regard, I guess. But he's obviously joking when he does it. Anthony Jeselnik is
Yeah.
I think really good at dark humor. Um, I don't know. I think when you have they may not even cast him due to the TikTok stuff. Obviously, this character is TikTok related, so maybe. But like he's when you have like comedians like this, they are trying to break into the more mainstream scene, so their agents are going to get them bit roles on TV shows. So I don't really see this any different than like if a rising comedian from like the New York circuit like got a one-off gig on here.
It's how most comedic actors got into it.
It's how they get their money.
Sandler,
I mean, like,
Eddie Murphy, like they all got into it. Yeah.
You're doing your stand-up at times, but you also gotta like get money some other way. So you do, guest star spots. I don't even think he was listed as a guest star. He's just like it's a bit role, right? That they didn't promote it as like Matt Rife is going to be on the show.
And they had a chance to. Yeah, they really
did. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, it doesn't seem like they were trying to make this. It's not like the same level of them being like Brendan Fraser is going to be on the show or Colin Farrell is going to be on the show. It was very much more of like, we have this role. This guy auditioned for it, and he fits the body type and like the because I'd say whatever you say about Matt Rife, I'd say is like I think he did good in this role. Like there wasn't anything there that wasn't like he didn't like seem out of his depth there. The really part that killed me in this was when he's lifting and he asked them to switch his IV. And then Elliot takes it and just immediately it weighs her down so much.
Yes, it was brilliant.
But yeah, so I guess like they're gonna tap into this stuff, but I think it's because these people are also going to be going for roles because they want to become more than just TikTokers, right? Like, you have like a 15 minutes of fame with the TikTok scene, and like you said, Matt Rife had a Netflix special, but I don't think he's been as like I used to see him online all the time. I haven't seen him lately.
He's cooled it, because of his
So there is like if that 15 minutes of fame from doing your crowd work and then getting your Netflix special and then things are cooling off, then you're like, okay, let's start working on getting me roles and stuff while I'm touring or while I'm not touring, and then I'll make money while I'm touring. And I think you're going to see that with a lot of TikTok people. I mean, I've watched some shows where people are like, oh, that person's a TikToker. And I was like, I had no clue who this person is.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know who he was. I did not know who the janitor was. So it's funny that two of them are kind of in that same stratosphere.
Especially because one of the main characters now in Scrubs is a social media influencer. Now the Pit is also tackling this as well.
They're copying Scrubs?
Yes. So what's interesting? They were both filmed at the same time and they both tackled the same thing, which I find funny. It's really cool too, because there's actually been interviews now where Scrubs and the Pit talk about each other in a very good way. It's pretty cool.
I think Bill Lawrence was saying, or it may have been Zach Braff, that was like, we're just taking the Pit scripts and adding jokes to them.
And then Zach Braff goes, we always bragged about being the most medically accurate, and then the Pit came along. So then Donald and I decided that we need to revamp the show. Basically, we need to get Sarah in here and we need to recreate the show because the Pit's now
taking. They can't take our mantle.
Which Scrubs is very accurate. I've always heard that. But Jordan, it's called the Tarzan diet, which is a TikTok influenced diet, just like every other diet and Ozempic and all those other things that are happening right now.
Can I tell you here, though, Sibby again killed me. Because Elliot says,
so good.
Because Matt Rife's character says that our ancestors ate like this.
Yes.
And, Elliot calls this out when she's building her thing with Sibby and saying, like, Tarzan's a fictional character. And Sibby says, are you sure? Like, he has a lot of movies about him.
I died. I was laughing so hard. I was like, wait, what'd she just say? It was so good. I was like, that's like our third Disney joke, though. Like, and they're on ABC, so it's fitting. But I love that. That was a great joke. But I agree with you. But, Jordan, this can cause blood or bleeding gums. It can cause fainting, bruising, bleeding out of the eyeballs, which is disgusting, and heart failure. So this is a very serious thing. Jordan, I didn't even know what this
scurvy.
It causes scurvy, which is one of the oldest diseases to ever exist. And it's pretty easy to treat because you can add like citrus back to your diet, and supposedly that's supposed to be just kind of a natural cure. But this is a an eating disorder, Jordan. I had no idea what it is. I had to look this up. I didn't know what it meant. Orthorexia. Orthorexia is an obsession with eating healthy and associated with restrictive behaviors based off of you just wanting to always eat healthy. And I
this
knew
is
eating
pretty. This
protein is
is
bad, but
yeah. I was gonna say there has been. I don't. Okay, it is probably due to the current administration that there is this big kick right now to have protein in everything.
yes,
I've seen it on like candy bars. It's like, here's your protein, and it's like just like pushing protein, and people like online being like, they can't take protein away from us. And I'm like, nobody's trying to take protein. What are you talking about? But they're like just straight up eating just tons of protein shakes, and I guess that's what this is based off of here, where then it can cause. I've heard of scurvy due to like pirate stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I did
that's
not
where
know
I
what it
heard it.
actually
Yes.
was. I had no clue what it actually was.
Yes, I've heard many a pirates. I think Johnny Depp,
Scurvy.
Jack Sparrow says scurvy about 10 times. But yeah, I guess it's like a really awful disease that can just wipe you out. It allows for a funny
bleeding from the eyes. I'm like, oh my god,
that's some scary.
That's crazy.
But yes, Jordan, the whole Matt Rife thing. I mean, the whole thing with Mr. Nichols. His name's Logan. First name's Logan. They find this out. Yeah, so it's me. They find out that he's having this eating disorder because Jordan. The ongoing, I guess, B storyline here is Elliot is trying to teach Tosh that not everything can be solved by getting on your phone. And this generation and today's world, we just go to the internet to find answers, which we have found, Jordan, to be very, very harmful in society because people just run with things now. Like they will, like you just said, they will just believe anything they hear without doing any kind of research. So I think that Scrubs, when it first came out, Jordan, was so good at social commentary. I think it's even better now that it's older. It's gotten so much better at social commentary.
Well, like you said, Elliot has this scene where she's complaining to Tosh about it. Probably not the best person to complain to, but and she's saying that like she's frustrated with treating a person like this because she can just, he sits on the toilet scrolling and he knows more, right? Now, obviously he doesn't know more, but like in their mind, they know the level of what a doctor knows because they can go to WebMD, they can go to Google, right? And they type in their symptoms and it always says you're dying whenever you do this and whatever disease you get.
Yeah, your arm's gonna fall off. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, and it's got to be. I literally cannot understand how it would be to be a doctor right now because, well, you have a lot of people just completely disregarding doctors' advices since 2020. The rise of anti-vaccine and stuff, and then you have now where people just go online and can look up any little thing, which wasn't as big of a thing in the original run,
right?
Probably towards the tail end of it, but they didn't really cover it in that. But now, people will be, and I think maybe the reason why it's taking off more now is because of cell phones that have the Google on it. Before you would have to like sit down at your computer and look up your symptoms. Now, like you could be like, taking a crap and be like, oh, let me look up what's wrong with me. And you read all this stuff and it's at your fingertips. And then on top of that, you have the health nuts on Instagram and TikTok that are pushing their diets. I mean, how much have we heard of like Ozempic and GLP-1 just because of how much it's taken off online, constantly being pushed on commercials? And there still isn't a lot of data on some of the stuff that can lead, like, I guess it can cause some issues later down the line that we don't know right now. But it's being sold as like this miracle thing, and everybody goes into their, and this is also, I think, an issue with our country here in the U.S. is, when we lived down in the college program, I had a roommate, not a roommate, I had a friend, Michael, who was from Australia. And he was really thrown off by all of our commercials that says, take this drug.
Yeah.
Ask your doctor about this drug.
Yeah.
And they don't have that in some countries. It's illegal.
Yeah.
But that also leads to people then hearing stuff from celebrities or the commercials a lot of those commercials feature celebrities saying, I took this thing for blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go into their doctor and say, I want that thing because because they're already putting that in your mind. And maybe you can have it. Maybe you can't. Maybe it interacts with other medications you have, or it's not the right fit. And your doctor's like, and then, you know what? Sometimes that leads to people then just finding a doctor that will agree with them to get the thing. So I can't imagine being a doctor at this day and age.
No. And this all leads to Elliot calling Tosh Dr. Selfie, and JD overhears her saying this. And JD has a very great moment here where he compares Elliot, who Elliot, I would say, throughout original Scrubs, had the most beef with Dr. Cox. I would say that their relationship was more strenuous than maybe anybody else's. And JD calls her out on it. Like, you need to listen to her because she's very smart. Yes, she does rely heavily on her cell phone, but that's kind of the way of the world, Elliot. And you used to get mad when Dr. Cox used to call you Barbie and like degrade you by calling you names that he felt were, kind of attacking you, Elliot. And you used to get mad about that. Like, it would send you into spirals. Now think about what you're doing with Tosh. Same thing. It might not be the same Cox way, but you're doing the exact same thing that Dr. Cox used to do.
It kind of is the Cox way, though.
Yeah.
And I really like that
Yeah.
JD calls her out on this because we've seen it in the original show. I wonder how this is working for somebody that hasn't seen the original show. If there's people watching the revival and don't really know, like they spell it out here. He called her Barbie and undermined her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a really great way to bring up some of the maybe issues people had with the original Scrubs.
Yep.
Now, of course, I still think that's how it was supposed to be back then. I don't think they were I don't think we were ever supposed to sympathize with Cox calling her Barbie. We were always supposed to know that's what he's doing.
Yes. It was just not.
I don't see it as being like, how people say, you can't make that show today about all types of TV shows. You can. We're seeing it right now, right? Scrubs is being made today. And I just think that it's a good way to bring it up that maybe people, who rewatch the show have been like, man, he was really kind of hard on her, but I think that was the point of it. But it doesn't stand. That's why he stepped down. That's why he left. He knew he couldn't do that anymore. And I like that JD has that relationship with her, that he's able to call her out on this and say, you're sounding like Dr. Cox. And now, of course, she's like, hey, Dr. Cox taught us a lot. Like, she's kind of almost like Stockholm syndrome at this point with that of like, that's just how he is. That's how he was. And but JD's like, but don't you remember how that made you feel? That made you feel like awful and degraded. And, like Dr. Tosh knows what she's doing. She's just doing it in a different way than you. And I also like, though, that he says, keep an eye on her. Sure. Right. Like, all right, if you think she's doing too much with it, sure, that's fine. So that still throws a bone to Elliot to be like, doesn't mean just straight up listen to what Tosh is saying, but she's smart, let her kind of do it her way and see what goes on. So I like that JD was kind of able to balance that, where he's seen stuff. We haven't seen enough of Elliot interacting with these new interns yet. So I really like that they got that chance in this episode.
Yeah, she's kind of been put into this simulation lab, which I think there's probably more coming on that. But she's teaching in that sense. And you're right. She's not teaching as much as obviously Turk and JD because of their roles, what they have to do. But I'm sure that we're going to start to see. And that was always been something too.
The first three were so focused on Elliot having the beef with JD.
Right.
So now that that's in the past right now, we can kind of hopefully have her integrate it more with the interns.
Yeah. And I've always seen, as high as JD and Turk are now, I have always seen, and Elliot has always, for me, existed more as like her own entity, because she does get into that private practice when she starts to work at the hospital with the private practice. She is more intelligent, I think, than Turk and JD. I think she knows more. Yeah, she's been around it more.
Remember, do you know that episode? You probably just rewatched it not that long ago. But there's that episode where JD
yes, I know
is like the master at diagnosing.
Yes.
And Elliot like fakes not knowing what this diagnosis was, but secretly she had already diagnosed the patient. She already knew it all, but she didn't tell JD that because she knew it would kind of bring him down, because that's what he had that thing. But he was being really cocky about it and kind of asshole about it. And so there's your point there. Like, she can still do anything like JD can.
Yes.
She is very intelligent.
Yeah. And then there's a later episode where JD flat out says, Elliot's better than me. She's gotten better than me. And this is after that episode she just bypasses everything that he's ever done, and she's better. And he has a hard time admitting that she's better. So yeah, this has been a running theme throughout the show, and JD knows that. JD, I think, which is really interesting, Jordan. Never mind. I'll get to this because I've got a question about somebody. I'm very confused, but we'll talk about it. So let's flip back over to the A storyline, which is the Turk JD rivalry, the Med Surge rivalry. This is a thing. This is definitely a thing.
Two Chiefs.
Yes, two Chiefs. Jordan, there's the two Chiefs like handshake thing the Med Surge thing that they do with the hand thing, and they grab each other's hand. And Blake goes, there's a point where they're taking care of Mr. Johnson, who's complaining about like pain in his abdomen and stuff, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And JD's like, Surge and medical have always had this rivalry, but Turk and I, because we're best friends and because we kind of figured this out in original Scrubs, it's better if we work together. So they're trying to teach the interns that Med and Surge can work together, which is very hard for them to do. This has always been an ongoing rivalry, still is to this day. Our Med and Surge have beef. But Jordan, they do that thing, and then Blake goes, they time like this diagnosis and how they treat this patient. Basically, they come to an agreement on what the plan of care is going to be within like 15
some sort
seconds.
Of testing to then rule out if it's Turk's thing or JD's thing.
Yes. And then Blake, they're saying something, I forget exactly what they're talking about, but then he was like, yeah, just make sure you don't ever do whatever the hell that was next time that the Med Surge merge thing that they were doing. We get Asher and Amara flirting in this scene, which was a really good, they did a great Scrubs moment here where they go in to feel the pain on the abdomen area and they hit each other's hands. And then JD goes, I know what they really wanted to say to each other. And Asher's like, I want to smush you. I want to get naked and smush with you. And she goes, I just laugh at your stupid jokes because I really like you, but I don't actually think your jokes are funny. So we get more Amara and Asher flirting.
Oh yeah, it was JD's fantasy here of like what he's hearing them say to each other.
Yeah.
I like this though because we got to see that Amara is pretty much reciprocating this here.
Yes.
So we might get some good intern
Scrubs love.
Scrubs love.
Yeah. But Jordan, they're trying to figure out what is going on with Mr. Johnson. And to wrap into this, they did this brilliantly. They used the poker game to really add fuel to the flame here. Because at first, JD and Turk are getting along and Med Surge is working. The Med Surge merge is working. But because Turk then starts to back out, and then cancels the poker night, Turk doesn't go because Carla wants him at home because they're going to have sex. And Turk's like, I'm not passing this up. Like,
yeah, she was supposed to, we talked about it earlier, right? Yeah. That it's been a while since they had sex because of how busy they are.
Yep.
Carla was supposed to be doing a 4-hour shift extra at like an urgent care.
Yeah.
And that got canceled for whatever reason. So we hear her like flash him, I guess, on the camera.
Yeah.
And like sent a video or something.
Yep.
I want to know, does this count as one of her appearances because her voice was in it?
Right.
Or is this like she'll still appear in 4. And this was like some voice work that she did that they threw in there. So that's the question I have. But then I think this is the thing that really rubs him the wrong way though. In a lesson to Deshauna here, which I love that he's putting together the snacks for the softball practice.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're just making up this as you go along. And he's not letting that go. Like just keeps adding numbers to what he's saying and, keeps it going. But he says, then you have to give bad news. And he sends Deshauna to tell JD this. And I think that's probably the thing that, hit JD the hardest here.
Yeah, that he couldn't tell himself.
Yeah, because he'll bring that up. But then, like you said, that does then turn this into more of a heated rivalry, as some would say.
Hey.
Where, what I thought was going to happen the first time they go in trying to show this is when, JD is saying like, hey, surgery was wrong about this. I was right.
Yep.
And then, JD Turk says like, oh, I think that was supposed to cut me.
Right.
And he's like, oh, surgery, diagnosing something correct for once, right? Like they were really starting to go at it.
Yeah. Yep. The poker game, Sibby does show up. Sibby is a gambling addict, we figure out, because
so much so she has to like flick her wrist with
with the rubber band. Yeah, there's a great moment where they're in that lounge, the physician lounge area, and JD's actually teaching Blake how to play poker, or like he's gonna tell how great he is at poker.
He's like
and
shuffling.
Blake, Blake's like, you don't really strike me as a poker guy. You're more of like a bananagrams kind of guy, which is so accurate. But JD's like, no, I used to cut a rug on the green, the old green felt here. And he's talking about it and he's showing these fancy shuffling moves. And then Turk goes, you just do that because you're trying to convince people that you didn't go to magic camp that one summer. And he goes, I didn't go to magic camp. I went to, what is it? Chris Angel? Is that
Chris Angel?
Yeah, Chris
like
Angel's symposium of like wooing women or something. Which I thought was really funny. But Jordan, they all show up. It's Hooch, Sibby, the janitor, and who is that? It? Oh, and Blake. Yeah, that's it. And Blake show up to JD's house to play poker. And a couple of, I kind of wanted this scene to be longer. I thought this is what you were talking about whenever you said it felt short. I did kind of wish that this was longer, but we end up getting a great line from Hooch that says, just get the dip, bitch. When he's talking about JD, because JD's like dancing to the Macarena, doesn't know the words, clearly doesn't know the words.
Doing the, like what their flashback was.
Yes.
Like after they'd win, he'd like do the Macarena.
Yep. And it was Turk that did it. Yep.
It's just like, it's like this amazingly well done thing in the flashback. That he tries to pull off here. And like you said, he clearly doesn't know the words. He's like, and he's just like going. And he has to like jump up and hit the boombox for the music. And everybody, Sibby wants to flip the table.
Yeah.
Because she's upset she's losing.
Yep. Our janitor gets drunk and wants to sleep on JD's couch. And he says, no, like that's not happening.
And you have Hooch joining Sibby, like first saying like, no, this is like, or whatever. And then he says, so you really got to lift with your legs. And he's like,
yeah. And then we get a funny line later that Turk's like, they tried to flip the table. And he goes, stop trying to change the subject. But it's a really good one. And it's wrapped back into Jordan. We find out that Daryl is not struggling from what JD had said in pneumonia. The pneumonia was caused by a mass in his lungs. And we find out that Daryl Johnson has lung cancer. And then the interns say, well, who's going to tell him? And Jordan, Blake goes med or surge. They both go in to tell Mr. Johnson, who had just had a kid, who had said earlier in the episode, keep me alive because I just had a kid. Like this had all those feels. This is what Scrubs does so well when everything's kind of comedic. I mean, this was a very comedic driven episode that just came to a completely screeching halt whenever they had to go tell Mr. Johnson that he had lung cancer. And again, this was what I feel Scrubs does so well. And you talked about this early on where you said that you felt Shrinking was similar to Scrubs, that they have a way and a knack for taking comedy and flipping on a dime into something very real, very serious that can just absolutely crush you.
Yeah, and I think this shows, as petty as they were being, when the chips were on the actual table, no pun intended for the that's just the thing I was adding here. But
solid.
They work so good together. They are actually so good at the surge med merge, right?
Mm-hmm.
That when they actually had to go in there and tell him, there was no question that both of them were going in there to tell this guy.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the interns are like, who's going to tell him? They just go in and do it. Like, they are working as I guess, as well oiled of a machine as they have been. They've had, they've been friends for more than 25 years together because they met in college. So they have that relationship that while they were kind of getting petty and stuff with wanting to diagnose correctly, they both were wrong. They both go in there and tell them what's going on because that's just how they should operate. And I think that's a good example for the interns that they are teaching that, okay, Turk said to Deshauna, you're going to have to sometimes give bad news. And Turk and JD went in there and did that and show everybody that we can go in there as a united front. And it's not about them at that point. It's about the patient who's learning this very terrible thing. So, and they can both kind of cover then what the next steps are together, right? Like,
yeah,
if this guy has to get surgery, Turk is there to talk through what the next step would be. If they're going to treat it a different way first, JD is there to tell them, like, at first we're going to have to do this, and then we'll get you into surgery doing that, and they'll be able to maybe do it that way. But I think it just was a great note to end on and show the interns who were, fighting at the beginning.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, when it's this serious, put it aside and just do it together.
Yeah. The episode ends with JD leaving the hospital. He has a line where he talks about sometimes when you need somebody to pick you up, an individual to be picked up, because Turk's going off to his daughter's game. JD does feel it. JD feels that like Turk's got a whole different life, and that sometimes Turk's not going to be able to be there for JD. But he will be there as much as he can, is basically what I got from that. And as JD's leaving, the interns are like, hey, JD, it's been a rough week. Do you want to go grab some drinks with us? And he says, sure, absolutely. I'll go with you. So he starts to walk with them. He goes, apple teenies. Yes. A nod back to JD's favorite drink, apple teenies. He goes, I hope you two like older women, because you're going to be seeing a whole lot of Granny Smith coming up. So they go out and get drinks. Jordan, at Lloyd's bar. So we haven't talked about that. Lloyd, being, oh Lord, who is his first name? Help me out, Jordan.
Sam Lloyd. Yeah.
Sam Lloyd. Thank you. Sam Lloyd, who played
Christopher Lloyd's nephew.
Is it really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. So Sam Lloyd, who played Ted in the original Scrubs, who passed back in 2020, I think you said, is there's a little memorial here for him, and you can see it on the tap. It says Lloyd's. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's actually the bar's name too. They didn't show it well enough, but like when I was watching the rebuilding thing for the set,
I saw that.
They mention it that they named it after Sam Lloyd, and it's like the bar is called Lloyd's.
Yep.
As tribute to him.
Yep.
So that's nice.
So that was really good. Blake makes a mention that he might be into Sibby because she goes and starts talking about.
He's like, "Am I
again.
into Sibby?"
Yeah.
Because she's like, "I'm done." And then these people are going to play pool, and she's like, "What are you guys playing? 8-ball?" Like,
It's because I'm done gambling. I'm low on paycheck because Dr. Dorian picks up the paycheck, and she goes, "Thank you. I'm low on cash and funds for the week." And then she goes and talks about gambling again, which I thought was very fitting. But yeah, Jordan, that was a great episode. I really did enjoy it. I thought it did have some of the most comedic. I think it had the best. If you're talking about comedy, I do think this was number one. I thought it had a really good line. One of the lines I forgot completely, and I think it's my favorite of the episode. There's a point where Tosh is looking at Logan's TikTok, and she has a Bible because she found it in a patient's room and was hiding the phone in between the Bible like pages. And she's talking to Amara, and she goes, I didn't know, or Deshauna, one of them says, I didn't know you were religious. She goes, oh, no, I'm not. I'm just hiding my phone from from Dr. Reed. And Blake walks by and he goes, oh, I know how that book ends. The guy dies, but he comes back in the end. I thought it was a great line.
Something we didn't really mention is when they are diagnosing the patient, they see through other TikToks.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because this is kind of the wrap up for Tasha's point of view here. Is as she's scrolling, she sees that like this guy used to be fat, he's hating himself, self-hating. And he says he would rather die than get that big again. And that's what why he will not eat the food that they're bringing him, is he is worried that if he is eating the non protein based stuff and adding citrus, that it will, because fruit has sugar, so I mean there's a worry there, I guess, for some people, but like that it will lead him to becoming fat again. So that's how they diagnose that it's an eating disorder instead of just like a dumb TikTok thing.
Yeah.
But and Elliot apologizes to her and stuff, which I thought was good.
Yeah. Anything else on this episode before we wrap it up?
No, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I mean, so far they're 4 for 4 in my book.
Me too.
The next one's called My Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is I will say I since I brought it up last time and I brought it up on my podcast too. I feel like I'm gonna do this every time we talk. They have ratings, keeping track of the ratings so far because there's been no renewal. We are hopeful. It was still number 2 of the night in the 8 o'clock spot behind Survivor.
Oh wow!
It won the night for ABC. So it got, again, better than Abbott Elementary. It's keeping around 3 million viewers, but in that demographic, 18 to 49, it is second in the 8 o'clock spot, number 1 on ABC on Wednesday night. So again, that shows to me, I think, that they're keeping the numbers pretty consistent. They're winning their time slot, or they're winning their TV channel, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The time slot is right behind. They're second in the time spot, right behind Survivor, which is in its 50th anniversary.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough
for
to
the
beat
season,
that.
not 50th year, I guess. 50th anniversary, 50th, not anniversary, 50th season.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, 25th year. But they do 2 seasons a year, so they're on their 50th season, which they've been promoting like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just behind Survivor in that second spot. So I feel pretty good about the prospects of, I don't know what you want to call it, season 11, season 2 of the revival, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wikipedia still calls it season 10. So
yeah, I want to call it season 10, but people are like, well, then you have to talk about season 9. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Whatever you want to call it that.
Season 9.5.
Yeah.
It's replacing season 9.
Right.
I don't know.
They should have just come up with like, called the Scrubs instead of Scrubs.
yeah.
So, but yeah, no, overall, again, Jordan, I think they're continuing the magic that Scrubs once was. And that makes my heart happy because, again, this was probably my favorite show right up there with Home Improvement as I was going through high school before Friends arrived on the scene. But yeah, no, I just thoroughly enjoy the cast being back together. Sounds like we're going to get a really good episode next week as we got talks of JD maybe dating Elliot, finding an organ donor, and all sorts.
That's
of
what I was thinking.
things.
Do we think is this Rachel Bilson's episode?
That's what I was wondering.
My Angel? Like,
yes.
I feel like
that's what I was wondering too. I was like, this kind of feels like Rachel or Bilson, because I feel like this would be halfway. We're about halfway. No, we are halfway through, over halfway through with the 5th. So yeah, no, I think so, because we're gonna have an episode with Krista back and Neil, and I'm sure that those are together. I would almost bet that those two.
So Wikipedia says Rachel Bilson is playing an intern named Charlie.
Oh,
that's kind of interesting. So I mean, but like, especially if she's only in one episode, I'm kind of curious on how she's an intern. But I mean, maybe something could be wrong here. We haven't seen Dr. Park since episode.
That's
2.
what I was going to ask you. Yes, I forgot. I was going to ask you that. Where the hell is he? Like,
apparently he's mentioned in either 6 or 7's synopsis. So he is coming back, I would assume. He's just not a series regular. So it is weird we've went 2 without him.
Mm-hmm. I thought for sure he would be like kind of the antagonist for the whole season.
I think he is still. It's just that maybe they had to space him out. I don't know. Or maybe they couldn't fit him into these episodes because of timing and they were so focused on the other interns.
Yeah.
But I would assume maybe, episode 6 is called My VIP. I could see that being like a, maybe there's some sort of event going on and JD has to bring a VIP. Or a hospital VIP, and like Dr. Park is pushing for something. Who knows? I'll tell you the one I'm really interested in just from the title is 7, called My Best Friend's Barbecue. So that sounds like a fun maybe episode where they go over
to Turk's
house.
Yeah.
and we get to see the kids, and we get to see Carla, and we get to see them all at the barbecue.
Maybe
I feel
Cox.
like that'd be really cool.
Is Cox back
maybe
for
that's
one more?
Cox is supposed to come back for an episode. Maybe he's there.
Maybe that's where we see that. See, that would make sense if you brought. Okay, so this all makes sense. You bring Jordan
could be in.
Yes, and maybe the janitor back.
Well,
that
the janitor
would make sense.
I heard is in 9.
Okay, what's that one title? Do you know?
I don't. It doesn't say.
Doesn't say yet. Okay. Interesting.
But one thing I want to tell you, this theory I read, Logan, and I don't think there's any merit behind it, but it is pretty funny. Somebody had a theory that Blake is the janitor's kid. And the janitor is like sent him there to be some sort of like
that would be wild. Like that would actually be wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any merit to it, but I also saw somebody say that they suspect the new janitor was sent by the janitor to get in
JD.
as a fake buddy to JD and then screw him over.
Could see that. I could see that.
So I don't know. Apparently Scrubs theories are out there and people are really interested on how the janitor will come back. Because the production video they showed of him had him in a suit and tie. I don't know if that's just like how Neil Flynn was showing up that day. I don't know if he's going to be like a new he's got a new role. Obviously he's not the janitor here, so
right. Maybe we find out about his actual real life. Maybe we just get like a this is actually what the janitor is. Maybe. But like maybe this is actually who the janitor really is. We get like a real name. We get like a crazy like second or like a double life that he was living. That'd be funny. But yeah, so I'm interested now. Like I do think the Cox and the barbecue things make sense. Like with Jordan.
I think Jordan showing up there would make sense. I was trying to figure out how you fit her in.
Me too. In the hospital, I was like, that'd be weird for her just to pop up, unless she's still on the board.
Down. No, she stepped down from the board. I was
gonna say she's.
So I don't think she's there.
Unless she's back, but yeah, sounds like they're trying to get Kelso for next season.
Yes, but he keeps saying that. So hopefully, hopefully,
So,
I mean, he actually was in Cougar Town a lot more than I thought he. Because they kind of hit me with the sad feels because his character ended up having Alzheimer's.
Yep. Yeah, I do remember hearing that.
But yeah, no, I would love to have Ken back, and I'm sure that they'll try to fit in as many of these people as they can. But I'm loving the interns too, and I think that they've done a really good job at integrating them and making them interesting characters.
Yep. I think we get more with the nurses with Francois and I forget the lady's name, but those two will have an ongoing. They're just kind of the sideline reporters. It feels. I really do like them though. But yeah, they've done a great job of building this cast back out.
And Francois.
There we go. But I'm ready for it. I love that Hooch is in it a lot. We didn't see any of the Todd in this episode. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, he was the first one. That was the first episode he's not in. But they use him kind of
sparingly. Yeah.
Sparingly. So I like.
Yeah. Todd doesn't have a whole lot of depth. He never really did.
He does. He likes to go deep.
Yes. So, all right. Anything else you want to pitch where people can find your stuff?
At Soups and Sabers for a lot of my stuff. We are going to be talking Daredevil Born Again Season 2, which premieres in I guess almost 2 weeks, something like that, week and a half, 2 weeks. So we'll be there talking Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and we'll be building up to May is Mandalorian and Grogu, June is Supergirl, July is Spider-Man, Brand New Day. So we got a lot of stuff that we're building up to over in Soups and Sabers. So just check that out there. And then of course Logan and I, we also do, if you like soccer podcast, Stateside Soccer Show. And we're doing that. The season's not been good for my team, the Philadelphia Union. So you guys got your point. We don't have any still.
That's true.
But yeah, and then I'm sure that'll kind of tie into August when we'll have Ted Lasso back on the screen and be covering that over on Believecast.
Yep. No, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of good TV coming up. I got to dive into Rooster at some point. Haven't done that, but another Bill Lawrence gem I've heard.
My wife said that it looked interesting. So I want to watch that. So that's done by Bill Lawrence. She said, who? I didn't say who it was.
I've now coined it the BLTU, the Bill Lawrence television universe.
Bacon, lettuce, tomato.
Exactly. And ube. But yes, the Screen Society podcast on all things YouTube and Spotify / Apple Podcast. I'm going to drop the usernames below because the handle for the Screen Society podcast is way too long for some of the social media platforms to handle. So I'll drop those in the show notes as well as Jordan's. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time when we are on to talk episode 5, My Angel, of the Scrubs revival.